Hi, this is Steven from Lighting Up Your Life Studio. I live in California in the Silicon Valley in the greater Bay Area, and I've been pursuing photography and videography for the past couple of years. And there's been something I've been noticing that does not get talked about nearly enough. So, some context here. I specialize in portraits and events, and if you spend any amount of time on the internet researching portraits and events, you'll find there's a lot of information out there about how to take better pictures, how to compose your shots, how to play around with the settings of your camera. There's lots of videos out there about how to use flash on camera, off camera. There's a lot of information out there about, you should use only social media ads, or you shouldn't use social media ads because they're not helpful. You should use Google ads. You shouldn't use Google ads. Take my 6-week course on SEO and you too could be making six figures in no time. But through all of that noise, there's been what I would call a void of actual specific information. And I've been trying to wrap my head around this, and I finally managed to do that this week, which is, I think this all really boils down to what I would call a complete lack of discussion around market research. So if you're trying to start a photography, videography business, it's like starting any other kind of business, right? You gotta do market research. So if you were trying to start a sushi restaurant, for example, you might do some research into how many other local sushi restaurants are there. Are they constantly packed or are they constantly empty? Are there no sushi restaurants? If there aren't, why aren't there? That would give you information about what your local market is like. Is it overserved, oversaturated? Is it underserved? Is there, a whole market there that you could tap into? Same thing with photography. Before you spend any amount of time figuring out like what gear to buy, what ads to run, it's important to do a little bit of research into what your local market looks like. And with photography, I don't know about your specific area, but I would venture to guess this is probably true for most populated areas. With photography, it could probably be a little discouraging at first if you actually do some research into the numbers. But there's actually hope for it. So just bear with me here for a second. So here in the Bay Area, if you go online, there are some tools that allow you to do free keyword research. So you can get a sense of how many people are searching every month on Google for, say, Bay Area wedding photographers or Bay Area family photos. For each search term, you can see on average how many people are looking for that specific search term. So if you search for various connotations of Bay Area wedding photographers, you'll see that there's quite a lot of searches going on there about that. Any given search term regarding Bay Area photographers for weddings typically yields somewhere between 800 to 1,000 searches per month on average at this particular moment in time. Depending on when you're watching this video, that could change. But that gives you a sense that there's quite a lot of business out there for photographers. Now, those tools will also point out that there's a lot of competition online for those search terms. So trying to find a way to fine tune your website to be the one that pops up for that web search is probably not going to yield a lot of fruit, because there's a lot of other wedding photographers out there serving the Bay Area who already have fine-tuned their websites to meet those search terms. Now, that doesn't mean you can't become a Bay Area wedding photographer, but because clearly there is a lot of business out there, and there's always new people looking for weddings that have never hired a photographer before, so they could be interested in your services. But that market research would tell you, yes, there's a market, but there's also steep competition for that market. So it may be an oversaturated market in terms of the number of people providing that service. That doesn't mean you should give up on providing that service if you want to get into that market. It just means that you would have to adapt your marketing to tackle an oversaturated market. We'll get into that in a second. Also looking at keyword research for other types of photography. This is a little more discouraging. Searches for other types of Bay Area photographers are very, very, very few. I could probably get more specific into this, but from what I saw, cursory research, it looks like there's maybe anywhere from like 30 to 150 searches per month for any other type of photography, whether it's family photos, maternity photos, any other type of people-related photography. Which tells me that there's not a lot of people actively looking for those services. Again, doesn't mean those people aren't out there. It just means it's a relatively small share of the market, and they're not necessarily actively searching on Google for those services. Maybe they're finding those services in other ways, word of mouth or other means. But again, if you're trying to formulate a business plan and a marketing plan to reach those customers, then probably fine-tuning your website and running Google Ads may or may not be the best solution for reaching those clients. Now, bringing this all back together into one neat bow. If you do your market research and you get those numbers, then you can get a sense of how you can better approach building your business and reaching those customers. So where I'm at personally, someone who's still relatively new to the market and still trying to break into doing this, quote, full time, what I'm realizing is my marketing research, my marketing plan needs to be less about trying to reach existing customers who are actively looking, and maybe it needs to be more about reaching customers that don't exist yet, right? So like if there's only, let's say, I'm just going to pull a number out of thin air. If there were only, say, 50 people per month looking for family photos, well, I might be wasting my time running ads on the internet because there's not a lot of people looking. But there are plenty of families around. I mean, there's millions of people that live in the Bay Area. There are plenty of families that might be interested in family photos, but I need to find a different way of reaching those people because they're not actively looking for that on the internet. If you spend time on sites like Nextdoor, for example, and you search for photographer, you'll find there are very, very few people on there actively asking like, hey, does anybody know a family photographer or a wedding photographer? So again, might not be the best use of my time, of your time, using those means to reach those clients. So again, maybe my approach needs to be more about connecting with people who aren't actively looking for a photographer, but if they got to know me, they saw my work, they might say, hey, we haven't had a family picture yet. We haven't had one in a few years, Yeah, I'll hire you. Or, hey, my headshots are really outdated. I'd love to get an updated headshot. Do you do headshots? And I could say, yeah, I do that. Here's my website. Now, how do you do that, right? Might look different in your area. You might have a unique approach to that. For me, it's been a lot about doing, getting out in the community and photographing community events. People see me walking around. I'm dressed usually pretty professionally. I have like a name tag. I'm clearly a professional photographer. And I just try to get to know people, and I take pictures. If there's like a music event, I'll take pictures of the bands. I'll tag them on social media so their followers can see my work if they accept the collaboration invite. If there's an event, I'll send a collaboration request to tag to the event. That's just a way of getting my work out there, but it's also just a way of building relationships with people. And honestly, a lot of my work over the past couple of years has come from that. There have been bands and other people that I've gotten to know through these community events that have hired me for things. I filmed a music video for one of them. I did a branding shoot for a couple of them. There's been a number of things that have come out of that I would not have had otherwise. If I had just continued to try to fine-tune my website or do advertising on the internet, I would not have gotten those gigs. So that's something that's working for me. What works for you might be different, But it all boils down to this idea of you need to do market research into your area to figure out what the market looks like, and then formulate a plan to reach your desired client base. So again, you may find that your market is pretty saturated with photographers, or with photographers that serve your area. Let's be honest, nowadays camera equipment is getting more and more affordable, and more people like the idea of like, hey, I want to be a professional photographer. I like to take pictures. I can kind of work on my own time. I can charge as much as I want. I don't have to deal with a boss. That sounds great. So there's a lot of people out there trying to make it as a professional photographer. So there's a lot of saturation out there, but there's also a lot of people that need pictures. And the trick really, honestly, I think for all of us is it's less about competing with each other, trying to find a way to stand out on the internet. And I think it's a little bit more about how can we better reconnect with people and remind them of how great it is to work with a professional photographer. I know that a lot of people have smartphones nowadays that take pictures that look really good. They're not professional quality, but for your average person, they're good enough, right? So, the real competition, if there's a competition, is how can we as professional photographers compete against smartphones and remind people of what value we bring to the table, right? Obviously, benefits of working with a professional photographer are things like we know the best locations nearby, we know the best lighting, we can give recommendations on what to wear, we can use professional studio lighting, either indoors or outdoors, to provide a look that smartphones just can't capture. There's a lot of unique things that we bring to the table, but if you're just blasting it all into the void of the internet, you may not be getting good results on that effort. So maybe, like in my case, maybe our efforts are better spent on face-to-face connections with people and having that conversation directly with potential clients about the value that we bring to the table. And again, getting active in the community so they can see those results and see, oh, the pictures that you're taking at these events are different than the ones I got on my smartphone. The videos you took at this event are different than the ones I took on my smartphone. Wow, I thought my pictures were pretty good, but then I saw yours, and I got a whole different level. And wow, I can actually maybe afford your services. Maybe I should hire you for my event, for my birthday party, whatever it is, right? But again, all of that starts with market research and building a marketing plan for your prospective business. By all means, I do highly recommend spending time learning about taking better pictures, learning how to use flash, on camera, off camera, learning about marketing. All that stuff is important. All of it has a place. But if you don't do your market research, and you don't come up with a business plan for how you're going to reach your prospective clients, then you might just be spinning your wheels and not getting much of anywhere. Now, I will say, obviously, there are some people who are really lucky. They have a really vibrant, active friend group. Maybe they're part of a really big, vibrant church. There are people who already have a really vibrant built-in market that they can just tap right into. And those people may not even have to do all this work. I've seen this sometimes. There's photographers locally who come from nowhere, and within a couple of years, they're making crazy amounts of money. And those people almost always, without fail, are people who have that initial market base to launch their career. They can very quickly get their first clients, and have within a couple of years, they can be making a ton of money. They can have tons of online reviews, and then get all those referrals from those people, and it all just becomes a positive momentum rolling forward that allows them to make it a viable business. But for your average person, you may not have that. You may not have that friend group. You may not have that church, that community to give you that momentum. So again, you might need to start your business a different way. Whether it's getting out in the community, getting to know people and building your community that way, whether it's reaching out to local businesses to ask if they need product photography, whether it's physically going into businesses and eating their food, supporting their business, and building their relationship that way. Whatever your approach is, it has to come from somewhere, right? If you're just going to throw stuff out there and see what sticks, you're probably going to be wasting a lot of time and money. So my recommendation for you, based on my experience and what I'm noticing is not out there, is do your market research. Find out how many people locally are looking for your services, how many people are providing that service. Specific numbers may be hard to come by, but at least you can get a rough sense of that. And then formulate a plan to reach those people. Find a way to connect with people that maybe aren't already connected with a professional photographer, people who may need photos and just not even be aware of it. People who maybe they have high school kids who are going to need senior graduation photos and they just haven't even thought about it yet. But then they see you with your camera and you're taking great pictures and you talk to them and you suggest that, right? Start with your market research, formulate your business plan, your marketing plan, and go from there. That would be my recommendation for you. And don't get discouraged. I mean, you are unique. Your visual style as an artist is going to be unique. Maybe you haven't gotten there yet, but you'll get there. Your personality is unique. Everything that you bring to the table is special. And I'm quite certain there are people out there that maybe would connect with what you bring to the table. Maybe they love your personality. Maybe they love your style of photos. Maybe they love your style of editing. And the trick for you is just to figure out, hey, who are those people and how can I connect with them? So good luck with that. I hope we can all support each other, encourage each other. We can make content like this that can help each other to learn and grow. And hopefully we can all succeed together. I mean, I think, again, as much as we photographers tend to think of each other as competition, I am very much a fan of the view that a rising tide lifts all boats, right? If there's an existential threat for us as photographers, it is the rise of smartphones and other camera content creation equipment that is becoming more and more accessible to your average person. But we still bring something unique and special to the table that has tremendous value. And I think we can better work together to help remind the greater public that our work has value and that they still need what we have to provide. So again, good luck. And I look forward to seeing your work. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And if there's something else that you would like me to cover in a future video, again, let me know. I would love to talk about it. Otherwise, wishing you the best, and just a reminder that you are special, you are awesome, you have value, your work has value, and I am cheering you on.